welcome to this information session. We are really glad to have you with us and excited to tell you about this new program, the Executive EdD in Higher Education Leadership. If you're just joining us, if you would introduce yourselves in the chat, that would be awesome by just telling us your name, your role, and your institution. And we're going to lead off with some introductions, but let me just tell you a little bit about how the evening is, how we've planned the evening. We're going to take some time to introduce ourselves and the colleagues in the program who couldn't be with us tonight, just so you have a bit of a sense of the faculty in the program who've designed it and who will be your faculty members and teaching the classes. And then we're going to walk through some of the features of the program, talk a little bit about the format and how it's organized and why we think you should choose this program. Talk a little bit about the curriculum. And then Rosie, our representative from Graduate Admissions, is going to talk a little bit about the admissions process. And then we're going to wrap up with some time to just answer your questions. So one of the things I would ask that you do, we'd love to get a sense of your questions ahead of time. So if you have questions that you know you want us to answer, please go ahead and put them in the chat and we'll monitor those as we go through it and try to at least answer those first. So I think, Rosie, maybe we can go to the next slide so we can introduce our colleagues. So I'm Sherry Hughes. I am going to be the director of this EdD and this executive EdD in higher ed leadership, and a senior lecturer at BU Wheelock. So let me just tell you a little bit about myself. I began my career in higher ed as a faculty member in psychology at McDaniel College, which is a small, private, mostly liberal arts institution in Maryland. While I was there, I held a variety of academic leadership roles, including department chair and associate dean, chaired the rank and tenure committee, and my last role there was as dean of the graduate and professional studies. I went on to serve as the provost and VP for academic affairs and enrollment management at Marymount University. I was there for 8 years, and then spent 6 years at ACE, the American Council on Education, guiding leadership development programs, including the ACE Fellows Program, the Institutes for Department Chairs and for Chief Academic Officers, and had the opportunity to support the ACE Women's Network. And then most recently, before coming to BU, I served as the interim provost at Fresno Pacific University. And then just a little bit, my areas of interest are, sort of leadership and faculty development, curricular development, and organizational development. So that's a little bit about me. I'm going to take a minute to introduce our colleague, Mary Churchill, who is our big program director for all of our higher ed leadership programs, and she couldn't be with us tonight. She is also the Associate Dean for Strategic Initiatives and Community Engagement. Prior to joining BU, she was the Chief Academic Officer at Wheelock College, where she led the merger with BU. She's also held a variety of leadership roles at Salem State, Northeastern, Queens College as part of the CUNY system, Bentley College, and Emmanuel College. And you may know her by her writing. She is a regular contributor to Inside Higher Ed and to the Chronicle. And serves as a member of several local and national boards, including the ACE Women's Network Executive Council, the Benjamin Franklin Cummings Institute Technology Board of Trustees, and the Economic Mobility Pathways Board of Directors. So that's a little bit about Mary. I'm going to pass it on to Lisa and ask Lisa to introduce herself.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us. I'm Lisa Ejiri. I'm a clinical professor here in the higher ed program, and I come to this work after many, many years of serving in leadership roles, both at Curry College and at Lesley University in the area. And I'm currently a commissioner at NECHI. So I've actually done many, many, many accreditation visits and have really enjoyed working in that space as a way of helping institutions think about accreditation as a way to leverage change. I've done a lot of work in international global ed and look forward to including that kind of planning in working with some of the folks as they look to advance their careers. My areas of interest, my background is in learning disabilities, but I've also got experience in multiple aspects of inclusion and access work. So I will stop at that. I think I'm also supposed to introduce Raul Fernandez, tell you a little bit about Raul. All right, I can do that. So Raul Fernandez will be joining us in a little bit. So hopefully when he hops on, he can tell you a little bit more about himself. But I think one of the things I want you to know about him, he's actually a graduate of our former EdD program. And so he was instrumental in helping us design this, thinking about the next generation of leaders and what he took away from the program that he wanted you to be able to benefit from. When Raul joins, I'll let him say more about himself.
All right. And Jerry, would you introduce yourself and then one of our other colleagues who couldn't be with us?
Yes, sir. Hello, everyone. Good evening. My name is Jerry Whitmore. I'm an assistant professor of higher education here at Boston University. And I am also the lead for our higher education access leadership equity research group that we have here. My primary focus is looking at equity across higher education, also diving into psychosocial factors, into reasons why students persist on. Within my research group, I have several strands that look at uh, the income wealth gap and student loan debt relief to women's colleges and STEM higher education success. Um, and then I would like to introduce Tony Jack, who could not be here as well. He is an associate professor here in our higher education program and also the inaugural faculty director at our Newberry Center, which is a center for first-gen students. Um, he has just released a recent book called Class Dismissed: When Colleges Ignore Inequality and Students Pay the Price. Prior to that, many of you probably potentially have heard of his previous book called The Privileged Poor: How Elite Colleges Are Failing Disadvantaged Students. So this is a little bit about Tony Jack, and I would like to pass it on.
All right. And Jay, if you could introduce yourself and then tell us about Michelle, that would be great.
Okay, welcome. My name is Jay Halpont. Pleasure to be here and to meet you. I recognize some of you already. I was an academic administrator over a 4-decade period, all within the greater Boston area, culminating in a 12-year deanship in Boston University's Metropolitan College, which is a vast, innovative university within a university, and was a great experience and education for me. I then shifted entirely to faculty roles and at BU, and I've consulted at many universities and worked with associations, and which also furthered my understanding and appreciation of higher education, especially the adult learner and innovation in higher education and international global higher education as well. And I'm especially excited that I'll be teaching in our first cohort in their first semester. So look forward to being with some of you. Introducing Dr. Michelle Vital. She's a senior lecturer at Wheelock. Her primary focus is on the global dimensions of higher education in Haiti and in the Caribbean in particular. And before coming to BU Wheelock, Dr. Vital was an associate professor at Lesley University, where she was a director of the International Higher Education Master's Program and co-founder and director of the Lesley University Institute for English Language Programs Beyond Borders. She has many years of experience in a variety of roles in student affairs and has taught a broad array of courses over her career.
Right. Well, thank you all. And we wanted to do that not only just so you had a chance to just get to know us a little bit, but I think one of the things we are proudest of with this program is that it is a program that is designed for practitioners by practitioners. And we thought it would be helpful for you all to see the breadth of experience, the different kinds of roles, the different kinds of institutions that the faculty who've designed this program and who will teach in this program have under their belt. So with that, I think, Rosie, we can go to the next slide. And I think, Jay, you're going to talk to us about why choose the executive EdD at Wheelock.
Well, I'm not aware of any doctoral programs in this field that's precisely like the one that we're introducing. First, our focus will be on you, the student, and your professional development. Our goal is to play a positive role in your success as students and especially as future leaders. Second, we're going to carefully build a cohort of students that is diverse and where students work and what roles they serve within universities. Third, our practitioner focus reflects the extensive practitioner experience of our faculty. We'll be leaders teaching leaders. Fourth, our university has extensive experience in supporting online distance learning. We believe that this modality will enhance the student experience in this particular program, as it's a chance to create a national, international community of students who will get to know one another, get to know one another's experiences and where they work and what kinds of institutions they support. And that's going to be part of the education of all of us. And fifth, we're committed not only to you, but to the crying need of our institutions for imaginative, collaborative leaders who can address the numerous challenges ahead in the coming years. These, I don't need to tell you this, these are exciting times, and we're excited to help prepare you to make a difference.
All right, thanks, Jay. All right, Rosie, can we move to the next slide? And Lisa, will you tell us a little bit about the format, delivery, and schedule of the program?
Two things. So I think you saw that the program is an online program. All of the coursework is available entirely online, but we do have some in-person experience options that you'll hear about in a little bit from Sherry, but you can be fully online for everything if you wish. The meetings will have synchronous components like this, Zoom. I know some online programs are more like go at your own pace and you might not actually have any in the same Zoom room time with colleagues, and that's not the case. You'll have some synchronous time each week. How much time and how many courses? Well, each semester for the first 2 years, we'll have 10 credits worth of coursework. You'll have one 7-week course that will meet synchronously 1 time a week, and then another 7-week course that will meet 1 time a week, again, synchronously. At the same time, over the course of the semester, you'll have every other week a 2-credit seminar. Did I just freeze? Whoops. There we go. You'll also have a 2-credit seminar that meets every other week. So altogether, the program has 56 credits, and you'll be able to complete it in 3 years. Our design of it is to offer that to you while you're working full time. Next slide. Great. And so, well, what courses will we have? Within that design, we have 6 core courses, and they're listed here: innovation, organizational analysis, policy, current issues, budgeting, finance, and labor relations, and strategic planning. And we've structured them so that the 2 courses that you have together within that 1 semester, we're actually co-planning across and co-planning with the seminar facilitation as well. So you'll get a chance to see kind of, for example, in the first year, Jay Halfond will be teaching the innovation course, covering some of the macro issues that you may be encountering and trying to think of innovation in higher education. I'll be teaching in the second half organizational analysis, thinking very much at the institutional level about, well, what is it within organizations and how you can move change and structure change and make things happen. And then spanning the entire semester will be the 2-credit seminar that Sherry will be teaching that helps take a look at you as an individual. So the big picture of higher ed, the organizational level, and then you as a leader at that level. And that's just an example of how a semester is structured. Similar kind of structure for the subsequent semesters as well. Then, because one of the things that we thought about when we think of by practitioners for practitioners is that everybody will be coming to this with a different set of goals, priorities within their leadership development. So we want to make sure there's built-in flexibility for you to then tailor content based on where your focus and needs are. So there are options for 4 electives. Sherry will talk about one option in a moment, which is to have an intensive field experience. The other option is that actually as a cohort, you'll get the opportunity to help select a course each semester, starting in the second semester of year 2, that will be the cohort elective course. We have both existing courses that we can offer you, or actually we have the opportunity to design new courses based on the area of needs that you have. So those are 2 ways that you'll be able to take an elective course. And then finally, we also offer graduate level courses in our online program. And if there is a special interest or a need that you have, you're also welcome to fill your elective offerings by that. So I think that covers courses and electives. Sherry, I think it's you now.
All right. Well, thanks, Lisa. So I want to talk about the two other elements of the program, and the first is that we feel like it's really, really important for you as in this program to have an opportunity to take some deep dives into higher education, both through field experiences and a summer residency that is option. So all of these are optional. But I think the first is that, as Lisa pointed out, you can complete up to 3 of your electives, or a total of 12 credits, as leadership field experiences, and they may be shadowing experiences, but one of those could be completed at your own institution by spending some intensive time in a different office or functional role, working with leaders who are doing different work than you are, or you can spend that time going and spending time with leaders at other institutions. Either in the same roles or in different roles, so that you have a chance to see different kinds of institutions. So if you're currently at a community college, then being able to spend time at a liberal arts college, or if you're currently at a large research institution, what's it like to be at a smaller regional public, and what are the issues facing those institutions? So in those leadership field experiences, you'll have the opportunity to work both on projects and to observe and participate in leadership in real time. The second thing is that while the program is available entirely online, we want to offer 2 optional summer residencies. And in those residencies, we really want to give you all the opportunity to experience what I would call the learning ecosystem. And so looking at a variety of organizations and institutions that are involved in learning within a community. And so that might include a variety of types of institutions. It would be looking at who are the major employers in the region, the school systems, the community organizations, all of which come together to support learning in that community. And so, if you can come and be part of that residency, it will be great. And if you can't, that will be okay. We will create a parallel experience for those of you who can't participate and join us in person. The second thing I wanted to talk about is the sort of capstone project. And as a doctoral program, the program culminates with a capstone project on a problem of practice. And so we will each of you in the program would select a problem of practice, and that is a real. It might be a problem in your own organization. It might be a problem that is facing a sector in higher ed. And that you'll have the opportunity to work on that capstone project with doing a literature review, to do action research, and to do evaluation of that particular problem. So what it means is that the doctoral seminar that that Lisa was describing earlier, that sort of spans the entire program, is designed to help you build community as a cohort, but also then develop and discern your capstone project. So, the kinds of things that you might be able to do as a capstone project, it might be that you are working in an institution that is seeing a challenge in student success or retention or engagement, and wants to identify why those problems are occurring and how to create programming and interventions that will address that. You might also be thinking about what are alternative pathways for adult learners to get to a degree. And so, we know that there are plenty of places where adults are in a particular field and they've learned a tremendous amount in that field, but they're going to need to have a degree in order to advance. And so how do we develop programs that allow them to build on what they've already learned, take advantage of that, and still earn a degree in real time? So just recognizing that, the sort of culminating project here is an opportunity to take a deep dive in a problem of practice that is facing higher education, and do the work that would help us to understand that problem and begin to solve it. All right, I think with that, I'm turning it to Rosie, who's going to talk about the admissions requirements.
All right. Hi, everyone. I'm Rosie Norman, Director of Graduate Admissions here at BU Wheelock. I will go through the admissions requirements, but I'm also going to put in the chat a link to the full requirements as well as the link to the application form. To apply to the program, there is the full application form online that you fill out. There is a statement of qualification and objectives in the link that I just posted. You will see there's a specific question for that for this particular program. There's the equity and inclusion statement. There's a resume or CV, 2 letters of recommendation, which you do through your application portal. You'll request those there. Transcripts. At the point of applying, you can use unofficial transcripts. If accepted and enrolling in the program, we would then need the full official transcript sent to us. And then English proficiency, if necessary, based on your background, and there's a number of tests available for that, which is also in the link that I posted. The deadline to apply to this program is February 15th, my birthday, so lucky you. And that is a deadline for complete application. So at that point, you would want all of these documents submitted through to us. And I will also post here, for being with us tonight, you can get an application fee waiver. What you'll do is once you start the application, you'll have an applicant number that you can use to complete this, and we'll send you a waiver code to use when you submit your application. All right, and just so you know, it states here, but at the point that you are complete and sent for review, there is an interview portion of the decision process. You'll be contacted at that point by the program to set that portion up. All right, so this program is mentioned, and one thing I just want to mention, because I don't know if we said it at the top, this is a brand new program. This is a launch of this is the first cohort of this program, and I'm not sure we made that clear, and I think that's important to mention. And it is an online program, and so it follows, and part-time, so it follows our online and part-time tuition rate. Which this current year is 1,042 per credit rate. At the point of applying, you will be considered for any available scholarships. There's no additional application for specific scholarships that you need to complete. And then, of course, you can also be eligible for federal student aid for this program. Sherry, I don't know if you want to talk about the concept of professional development funds, if you want me to mention that.
Oh, I'm happy to do that. I think one of the things that we would encourage you to do is to reach out to your employers and look at or ask about the opportunity to either use existing professional development funds. So if you have a travel allowance, can you use that and put that towards this program? Or knowing that what you're learning is going to allow you to be doing your job better tomorrow and next week and next year, are they willing to provide some additional support for that? Knowing that, you know, sending people to other kinds of professional development is a cost that many institutions are willing to support, and so would encourage you to ask about that as well.
All right.
All right, so I think we're going to turn it to Jerry, who's going to talk a little bit about sort of the ideal candidate.
Great. So when we're thinking about the ideal candidate, as you see right here in all the materials, you'll see we're looking for professionals with at least 7 years of relevant experience. And how we look at that, you know, like someone that, you know, kind of moved up the ranks through student affairs. I started in housing. I was a res life coordinator. Then I was able to, and actually within that role, I had three different positions. So it was like res life coordinator. I was over RHA. I also did conduct. And then I had fraternity development in there as well. Then I moved on over to working within the Dean of Students office there. And then from that point, I was able to run an academic space in a library. So if you're thinking about kind of that background of someone like myself, and it has that 7+ years, and in each one of those positions, I had the opportunity to increase in my leadership capacity that I had in those roles. We're looking for individuals that have been able to do something like that. And if you notice, I never said that I was like director of a particular program, or I was, you know, a dean or anything like that. We're really looking for that leadership experience. Those of you who have moved up in those 7 years may have those senior level titles, but titles are different at every institution and at every area. So don't think that, you know, you would not fit this program because you have been in 7 years and you don't have that senior level position. So I do want to tell you about that. The supervisory experience that is preferred right there. Many of you all have possibly started out by supervising students, and then supervising, let's say, some sort of administrative personnel in your office, and maybe you have been able to move on up. So being able to showcase that you have that experience. And then we want individuals that have aspirations beyond this degree. Like we want you to come in here and kind of have an open mind about like where you would like to be. And so a good example of this, we don't want you to get this degree and then continue on in your current role, unless unless there are definitely competing dynamics that make those things happen. But we want to make sure that we are adding to you in this particular program. And we understand the cost of higher education today and can be a barrier for individuals. But we want to say that this particular program adds to your capabilities. And hey, at the end of the day, probably add some more money to your pocket. And we all like money, don't we? And then the last thing is looking for a heterogeneous cohort representing different types of institutions, different functions, roles, and different pathways. So again, we understand that the people that we bring to this particular space is an entire learning environment. Not just the faculty member that is teaching the class, but everyone that brings their experiences to the classroom. So professionals in Seattle, Washington, professionals that are in Miami, Florida, and elsewhere, particularly international. We want all of these different perspectives that are coming into this space that is producing the future and the next generation of higher education leaders.
All right. Well, thank you, Jerry. Well, I don't think we've had a lot of questions in the chat. I do know I saw two. One was about funding, and I hope that Rosie's piece answered that question. And good question. How long are the summer residencies? We actually haven't made those decisions yet. So we're building those as we speak. But recognize the need for that to be something that fits into people's schedules. So I think we're looking at somewhere in the week to 2 weeks realm. Lisa and Jerry, would you agree with that?
We actually are looking to get the input from the first cohort too
Ah,
on what would be most desirable. So I think we have various models. It could be a 3-day intensive, like a conference style is one option. Another would be like a 1-week experience. So as we've said, we're trying to create as much choice and seeing what will meet the needs of who this first cohort is.
Mm.
And as we say, optional too.
okay. All right. And I think I saw a question. Oh, Lisa, okay. I'm trying to monitor the chat and do this all at the same time. So I think Megan has a question about if I've completed a master's in higher education, can I put any of those classes towards the EdD? Jay, can I ask you to answer that question?
Yeah, we expect all of our students to already have master's degrees. And so I think what you've taken before can be relevant as far as what electives you take, but the expectation is that the students will take the entire program and be part of the cohort, because it's going to be a matter of being with your other fellow students during that whole process.
Okay, thanks. So we have another question about, can we say more about the cohort elective? So I think Lisa, you were the one who
That's
sort
the
of,
phrase I used, yes.
yeah.
So did I mean the cohort would design a course that everybody would then take? I think there is the possibility that a course could be requested by the cohort. And if it's not a course so we have a set of elective courses that we have available from which to choose. The cohort could choose, we want, fall of next year to be this course. But we also have a possibility that the cohort could say they would like to request a course that's not yet developed. And so, yes, I hope that explained it.
Terrific.
I'll just jump in here and say that we have another similar kind of ed degree program for our K-12 administrators. And there was a point in the program that the students were like, hey, we really want this kind of policy research course. And they were really asking for it. And we were able to kind of develop that specific kind of elective course for those students. And I do believe it may be a requirement today, but it was one of those things that, hey, we also want to be able to kind of move within wherein lies the market demand for things as well.
Great. Thanks, Jerry. That's really helpful. So we have another question about size of the cohort. So we're looking for a cohort in the neighborhood of 20 students with sort of, you know, a little higher or a little lower on either end. And then the question, we are in the program has been designed and has been scheduled to have cohorts start every other year. So the intention now is for it to be a start in fall 25, and then another cohort in 27. But we are also paying attention to demand. And so if we see substantial demand, we will try to meet that. But right now the plan is 25, and then the next start date would be 27.